Oh, hi.
Okay, Evan, you can hit star 5-2 to mute, and star 5-3.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the surveyor.
Okay. Andrea said she was going to call. Okay. Yeah, I just brought that in because it's that estimate for. Oh, okay. Survey. Super. And he's lowered the price because he's doing work for the Town Woods project at Town Woods that he's doing for the town. Okay. And he's also done part of that because he's done, he's a surveyor for Amanda's private parcel. Okay. Super, thank you.
Hey, Gary, look at this. Oh.
Hi, can you hear me? This is Andrea Fenton calling in.
Andrea, hi. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Oh, good. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah,
Glad
you can hear me.
On the line.
Me too.
Hi, how are you?
I'm writing in the title.
I'm surprised you decided to use your personal
Man.
email and not the open space email of your letter. That's a good.
No, I just didn't try.
I've got 1838 here.
I guess it should be the open space.
Did you get it?
Oh, I've had it for 30 years.
No pen.
Part of my consulting.
With 1,000. No?
Now they're all digital.
Mm-hmm.
I found them online. This afternoon I was messing around.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
They were in my office, and I've used them when I was doing
You know, something always amazed. Summer's getting us all very, very busy.
Yeah.
Guys, I get could come up with a map.
in 18.
It's going to seem like a fact.
They had a ladder.
They had some high knocks. We're going to match that.
I'll be,
A little bit of Pythagorean theorem and points.
But yeah, it's just interesting. So this is what they used to use. They used to be able to order them.
I said I'd be here.
Called photobromide.
She is with her.
And we need T81, T80.
a rolling filing cabinet.
Cleaning out your house.
I know.
Not it, are you?
I turned these two just so I can, yeah. I told you it was going to be a long meeting.
I know, brother.
I'm warning you, I'm leaving at 7. Me too. So we'll be quick.
Gary, I wanted to tell you the other yesterday, I was coming down from Lyme and I got to this place on the highway, and some guy passed me on the right, going about.
I don't know if you see.
You were in the, and I was in the lane. Yeah.
State plan.
How fast were you going? 10 miles an hour? No, I was.
Okay.
I was.
There you go.
Yeah, very.
And he just went by me on the right. Oh yeah, did he come from the highway?
Oh,
I am.
and I don't know if you have a copy of that.
I have an electronic.
Yeah, and I don't know if you, do you have a copy?
No.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so I was just, so that lightens a little.
I was pulling out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
It took a long time, but when I got there, there was some cars, I looked. You don't want to come around next time. I got it, plenty of time. Again, reading. Oh, you're tired, though. But some people, they're not. It's nice to have some hard copies around. I get tired of looking at the screen. Okay. So, Evan,
Okay, hold on just a minute.
Okay, good. Then I will call the meeting to order at 3 minutes after 5.
Did Andrea call in?
Yes,
Okay.
she's on the line.
Okay, good. She was going to.
And I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of June 8th. Second.
I have a correction. I had
titled him a master naturalist, and it's a designation he's working towards and has not yet achieved, so we will correct that. Any other amendments or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes of June 8th, 2022, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on to June 29th. Also entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So motion. A second.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Any corrections, amendments? Hearing none. All those in favor of the minutes, say aye.
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 I absent.
Okay.
I was absent.
Oh, you were absent, so you're
Yeah.
going to
I know. Vote.
abstain.
Abstain.
Okay. Going on to the, did you have something? Oh, okay.
On your next thing, I'm done.
Going to the Lan Stewards Report.
I was looking for Peter Norris, that's what I was... Yeah, no.
He didn't send anything in.
No,
did
he did. Here's
Oh,
a
he
copy
did.
for you.
That's right. Okay.
Peter sent in a report.
Yes, Evan has a copy.
Yeah.
Andrew, you had an addition to it as well?
Yes, just to say that he neglected to mention that he also cut down some bush leaves in front of the wildlife camera on the Ames property by the beaver pond.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good.
Because
And
those were being triggering the camera, and I asked, and he was able to knock those down.
Okay.
Great, thanks.
And Evan and I were over on Bartholomew recently, that we had a beaver deceiver installed.
Yeah.
And we walked a little bit of the trail to where it was flooded, where the bridge was. And I left a message for Peter to trim that down, and he did. And then he noticed that when they were trimming the grass along the highway on Button Ball, that Ed didn't do that area, so he contacted Ed and had him do that. So he follows up very well. We have a
Okay.
great land steward, so we're very lucky.
Okay.
I got a comment. I want kudos to Andrea and her team. I think it was Evan and Riley Blair on all those photos and getting it online, and voiceover. I know it was fantastic.
Yeah, I like the array. I went on this website and looked through all of them, and I think it's a good thing to have on our new nature site. So thank you for setting that up too.
Who picked out that site?
Which site?
Camera.
The camera that got most of us. That was a perfect pick. Everything went through.
The conservationist.
Well, it was Andrea and I set them up, and I was debating. There was some debate as to whether there was going to be anything there, and I wasn't sure myself. But since it was an open area, it seemed like a camera would pick up more activity there. So thanks for that.
And we also actually moved the still life camera at one point to the other side of the trail that is now flooded, and we might put it back there because that got some good action as well. But presently, the still life, the beaver pond area is getting some wicked birds that haven't been uploaded yet but beautiful shots.
Right.
Nice.
And deer.
It seems like an appropriate time. I was going to mention it later that there's a new web page on our website, and that Greg Futoma connected or created with the wildlife video, so you can go right to it. That was the whole idea is great, and to have it constantly updated and connected so people can see is very nice.
So we've got I don't know whether we need to just accept or acknowledge the Land Stewards Report, but motion
No,
to
we just,
accept it. But just so that thank you to Peter Norris for providing it.
and for following through on things instead of just noting it and not,
Yeah.
really appreciate that.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Kind of what you both said. At the last meeting, we talked about starting to post his reports on the website. And this will be the first meeting subsequent to that. So we'll post his report and have them available now so people can see what we're doing to trail so open.
Yeah.
So he, in the past, has said that people could contact him, or if they want, remember we started out with going, if you want to go for a walk with our land steward, and I think we should check with Peter, but maybe if we post his reports, if he wants his phone number out there, get it out there, and if they want to join him for walks. Okay. But I would check with Peter first, okay.
Okay, moving along to 4 existing business open space updates. First one being the McCulloch family open space equestrian lease, which I think we have.
I sent out copies to everybody.
Yeah. And hopefully everybody's had a chance to read through the final copy. We've been through this in several meetings.
Since April.
Lots of long discussion, and that has been vetted by the town attorney, as well as the tenant's attorney.
And the Board of Selectmen looked at it.
And the Board of Selectmen's attorney.
Same ours, but we took it to them when we talked about the lease.
Right, yeah.
And then we've kept them informed. We still have to go get approval.
Right.
But they've agreed with things so far, so it looks...
Yeah.
And we voted on it last meeting, subject to corrections.
Corrections,
And
which
so
have
that's,
been made.
yes. So that's what we're basically voting on, is the corrections.
I have a lot of comments I'd like to go.
And
Okay.
I have a comments as well.
Okay, well, why don't we have can we have a motion to approve the lease? And we can
So moved.
have a discussion. Okay, moved and seconded.
I have
Second.
a quick administrative thing. We should probably, in the minutes, when we have alternates, note whether or not they're voting. Because if we have a full complement of regular members, we obviously don't vote, but someone needs to alert us.
Right. I just want to be clear that the alternates are not going to be voting.
Okay. Let them
Is that clear?
Where's Suzanne taking the minutes?
She's not here. I'm taking minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's what happens when
I
you...
have a question on the June 29th meeting, really, before.
Oh, you should have done that with...
Well, my question is if there was a quorum in that meeting or not. Was someone, I don't know, was before that vote was nominated or allowed to vote?
That's correct. Fred was.
Yeah, okay. And otherwise, was a quorum?
Yes.
Or that was
That,
the key?
6 people voting, which is a quorum.
Okay. What about 5?
Pardon?
What about 5? Without doing that move to let another member vote, 5 is a quorum? It's just a question, simple question.
but we had, didn't you say we had 5 plus an alternate?
That's correct.
Yeah,
So we
and
had
and
6.
Need 6 for a quorum.
You need 6 for quorum. That's the question.
Okay.
Yeah. And also I want to mention that the June 29th meeting was a special meeting, right? It was not a regular schedule.
That is
And-
correct.
Right.
And in a week before the 4th of July, how many members were absent? I was absent, but other members were absent. That this is an irregular meeting. Really, it should have been planned with more time to allow more discussions. I think it's I want to mention that. It's done, but it was not the was a short time to me, and it was right at the time where many people is on vacation, before or after the 4th of July, around the 4th of July.
Duly noted. I think sometimes our meetings are driven by matters that need to be remedied in a short period of time, so we don't always have the opportunity to space it out. We meet once a month, and the things that we were addressing. So,
I imagine that, but
Claudia, when there's a, for instance, the selectmen had a meeting and needed to just make a decision on a topic that the selectmen were going to take up at the next meeting. That was the 5th of July. So we needed to have that 29th meeting in order to make a decision to send.
To me, that's one of the main questions.
Yeah.
That I don't see that urgency.
May I make a quick comment too? That it was a special meeting which had several topics, and another one of the topics which pertained and led to the particular schedule of that meeting was we needed to approve some financial transactions before the end of the fiscal year, which is why we have to do it before the end of the month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's perfect. But on the subject of the lease, that's my comment. It's I sent some comments before that meeting, and but I have several comments on this list, and I still don't see the urgency of doing this, approving on this rush. I wonder why. Why is such a rush? I mean, if you read the list completely objectively, I come here to this meeting, I don't have all the relationship with many people in town. So I read, and I have a lot of disagreements in the way that it's written. I mean, I just one vote, but I just want to say that I see this has been rushed, and it's not to me clear why.
well, actually, we started this discussion, Evan and I, with Tim Griswold, and then the land use person. We were approached way back in March. We started talking about it in April, and this is July. So we've had quite a few months to discuss this, and we brought several leases and discussion among people to try and work this out. And we've had the Vassiloff family, the Abrahamson family, the Tevis, we've had Nature Conservancy, we've had the attorneys, we've had the selectmen. There have been a lot of moving parts in this, and at some point, I think it's like a term paper. You got to pull it all together, put it in print, and then we've had 2 meetings with the lease. The last one we had, we accepted it with corrections, and then this is what we're doing. But if we continue to, drag this out, I don't think time was of the essence, but it wasn't really that quick. If you start from March and we're in July.
Yeah, well, as it is written, good luck with the Nature Conservancy. To me, I don't think that this is going to pass the Nature Conservancy.
Well, then if it doesn't, it doesn't. But in the conservation easement, it allowed for a horseback riding on the property. So and they've allowed that use. So we are basically just pro forma, just getting their approval.
But not to a particular family. It's written in a very general terms.
Well, but the conservation easement was for 3 private parties, 3 families, and this is a lease for them, but it's also opening it up to the public. And this family is not only paying for this lease, they're also basically taking over the maintenance of this. So it's an opportunity for us to put back something that was on that land. That was the Morgan family, the Vassiloff family Morgan farm that they open to the public occasionally. And so it's kind of going back to its original use, and it's merging some of our goals in open space, but taking a lot of the burden of maintenance off of open space and the town by their putting the signs, they're doing the manure removal, we've got public access on the cul-de-sac. I don't...
Just a general question, Amanda. Was the intent of McCullough family or who was or Mr. McCullough, I don't know those details, was the intent this type of lease, or the intent was to donate this to the Open Space Commission and to the town of Hollywood?
Well, so let me give you a little history.
Because I don't understand, I'm sorry, I don't understand the relationship between the people that is requesting this list and the intent of that donation, or...
It wasn't a donation. We purchased it first.
You purchased, and
so the town paid the McCullough family $600,000 for the property over the fee interest. And now it's the town. We're simply an advisory board, so it's not up to us to say, yes, this can happen. It's up to the Board of Selectmen. We're advising the Board of Selectmen.
And the town meeting.
And at the town of all time, at town meeting. I think we've discussed this over and under and around, and
But Evan, can I interrupt you for a second? Just to give Claudio a little history. In the 1920s, the McCullough family, Rook and Warren, moved from New Jersey to this area. And over a period of time, they put together several hundred acres. And they were well known in the community. One of their daughters, Mary Jean Vasiloff, raised Morgan, and Marcia, correct me if I'm wrong, raised Morgan horses on a part of their farm. The three children of Rook and Warren, Taffy, Mary Jean, and David, were split the farm between the three of them, put a conservation easement on it with Nature Conservancy, gave that. But within that conservation easement is the provision for horseback riding, because that was always a big part of the McCullough family. We came along, we purchased it. In the conservation easement, it didn't really allow for each part of the farm, at that point owned by three separate children, to ride the horses on their other siblings' properties. We bought it. At that time, we didn't want horseback riding. Currently, the Morgan farm, owned by Mary Jean Vasiloff, and now owned by her two grandchildren, is being sold. And these people want to restore horse use back to the Vasiloff people. They're buying and want to use ours, and they're using the Abrahamson parcel and approaching other adjoining ones. So in the lease, in order to kind of make it favorable for us, we're getting money, but they're paying for the maintenance, they're paying for the signage. They're not allowing any of their people to use parking facilities who have to come onto their property, but they're allowing, and open space is allowing, which made it attractive to us, public access. And I've checked with Tim, the selectman, and Ed, Department of Public Works, that yes, we can horse trailers on the cul-de-sac. We will have public access, and the Tevis family is going to be cleaning up after the horses. So,
But
the Old Lyme Land...
It's going to be public access then?
Yes, there is public access. The Land Trust has horseback riding on Lowman. They have an association, a memorandum of understanding. Greg Futoma put it out through the Land Trust, thoughts on people, land trusts or other associations. Do you have horseback riding? What are,
No, I understand. My main question really is it sounds like we are doing a distinction to 3 families in this particular case? Is there precedent in our town that open space is going to be leased to 3 families as part of
It's just to one family to use the trail
Yeah.
with the public. It's not an exclusive lease. It's non-exclusive. So what we're doing,
Those 2 trails are, aren't they?
no,
No,
it's,
There's no biking or hiking on them.
no, they're
That's
compatible.
new from the last time.
They are using the trails with every other use that we allow on our trails.
we allow bikes on the trail.
Not according to what I just read here. All other uses such as riding, bicycles, hiking are prohibited by this lease on those trails. Now, somebody slipped that in there since the last time I looked.
No, Gary,
No.
That's not the
No,
first thing.
no.
Let me make a quick comment. That's on the bottom of page 1.
Yeah.
It's for them.
In very much legalese. So it says that, and in the next section it says, notwithstanding, the lessee may use the premises as allowed by the lessor under such rules for general public use as the lessor adopts. So if we allow the public to use bicycles, they can. So that kind of negates the previous sentence.
So why don't we just take that out?
Well, that's the way the lawyer wrote it.
Well, it's going to be a legal problem later on when somebody says you threw me off of that trail.
No, I don't think so, because it follows our rules.
Is our lawyer here? Can we talk to him?
No.
We don't have a lawyer here?
Do you see one?
Or maybe online.
No.
I don't understand the reason for that
We're going to
sentence.
discuss the lease, and we don't have a lawyer to answer legal questions? I don't think we should even discuss it.
Gary, we had an attorney at the last
We
meeting.
should have one here too, please.
No.
At the
And-
last meeting, you mean June 29th?
Yes. And we went through and accepted this lease except for the corrections. That was not one of the corrections. It was accepted at the last meeting. The corrections were the terms, the Schedule B, the insurance, and I don't know if there was, I'm just thinking, I think that was,
Let me suggest this. If we take a vote on this, can we make it stating that we were, if we so move in that direction, if we approve, it would be contingent on our interpretation of that particular clause as being permitting bicycle use and other use?
Those words should be in the end of this lease anyway. We should have final say.
No, I think what the town attorney wrote in there does allow that, but it's very specific.
Well, that's the reason he should be here. It's legalese. But you want me to sign this thing?
He says this doesn't happen, then he says, but this can happen.
You want me to sign this thing? I gotta know what I'm signing.
You're not signing it.
thank you.
We're
I'm
simply
approving somebody to sign it.
The majority.
When I put my name on it, I gotta know what I'm doing, or think I know what I'm doing.
Well, all we're doing is recommending that the first selectman sign it. He's
And
gonna
the
make the
plan.
final decision.
So we
I
could,
can't make that decision if I don't have answers to my questions.
okay, what other questions do you have then?
I have a lot of questions.
Okay, let's start. Go.
Okay. First of all, I got this lease yesterday afternoon.
Okay, that's,
Now you're asking me to go over this thing and make a decision tonight.
It's-
That's pushing me, and it makes me uncomfortable when we try to speed, okay?
okay, let me
We
just,
had the ability to do special meetings every day if you really wanted to get this thing ironed out.
there were only 3 corrections in this lease and the last one.
But
So you read the same lease
But
a
there
month
are some
ago.
different things in this lease that weren't in the last one.
Okay. Ted, let's go through it. So
All
you,
right, so first of all, the issue here is not horses. TNC and the McCullough and Vasilovs put horses in that conservation easement. So the issue is not horses. The only issue is, do we need a lease? And we don't need a lease. There's no reason for the lease for the town. We don't want a lease. I mean, I don't want a lease. It's not required to have a lease, so why are they telling us they have to have a lease? I don't get that.
Well-
That's a red flag to me.
No.
So, Mike, let me just make a quick comment. It's my understanding that the prospective purchasers of the property intend to make an investment in it, and they want to be sure that they can basically continue to use the property as they anticipate, which was part of the purchase decision. That's their perspective. Our perspective is to make it
Attractive.
something that the town should wish to pursue, is that we're getting in return care for the property and a financial compensation over the course of years that amounts to a fair amount of money.
If you,
And
check
offering it to the public.
Yes.
if you check that out with inflation and things like that, it doesn't amount to that much money. That's the risk we're taking.
Well,
I
it
understand
has an
I'm not a
inflation
lawyer, so I
clause.
can't answer these questions.
Yeah.
Okay, it does increase annually,
It
2%.
actually decreases in real dollars, okay?
Well, particularly at this very time.
Who gave you
We
that
are,
estimate?
we are suffering the highest inflation in 40 years, 50 years.
Yeah.
It's,
I did that list.
We, rather than deal with the CPI, Consumer Price Index,
Yeah,
and it was,
didn't
so
ask
we
that
just
question. I
asked,
know.
we agreed to the 2%. That was acceptable to us. It's
Well,
not so much,
Every year you get less money than you got last year.
well,
If inflation is over 2%, and if you went back 20 years, inflation's been at 3.3%. And if it goes more
Isn't
than
this
that,
money that we weren't getting in any case, and they're offering, so that it's still money that we didn't have?
oh, it is
Or
money.
wouldn't have.
You're getting less and less every year. And the deal is, they don't have to give us money. They don't need a lease. The question is, why are they doing that?
We've been advised by the town attorney that we do need a lease.
if we
Oh, I
want to
never heard
open,
that story before.
well, if we want to open this up to the public,
Yeah.
Do
Well,
you-
I'm going to be on that side of the fence when that happens. So
Okay.
everything I say now, I'm going to say again, and I'm going to say it. I said it at this meeting,
okay,
okay?
but is Open Space willing to take on the maintenance of on the trails?
They
to pay-
obligated themselves to that when they bought the property.
But that's why you have a lease. A lease says, I will do this, you will do that. That's why they have a lease for their protection and for our protection. It's the same thing as a memorandum of understanding. You could change the name on this and call this a memorandum of understanding. It's a document that spells out the responsibilities for the town and the responsibilities for the Tevis. So if you want, we can change it to another memorandum or something. But
early in these discussions, I mentioned that I couldn't understand why do we have to have a lease. I agree. Why do we have to have a lease? But why do we don't have a transitional time? 3 years. I proposed 3 years, and I didn't see in the minutes. Sometimes the minutes are not completely thorough, and but to my surprise now I can see 75 years.
it's options. It's 25 years.
25.
But you have to understand, an attorney looks, or represent anybody at any cost, but there's always in court at least two sides.
Yeah.
So they've come to us and said, we want to do horseback riding. What can we do to make it attractive to you? Realizing that they are buying a farm, spending the money, want to have a family compound there with horse use. So this evolved into something that kind of protected them,
That's
and
opens a Pandora box.
it protects us too.
That opens a Pandora box. So they are doing a purchase, and we are supporting that. So it's a commercial
It's
move.
not. It's a family compound.
Yes, I know.
Like to bring their horses and ride in an area. And so what they're trying to do, they reached out to us and they've reached out to other people to say, would you be interested in, letting us ride on your property? So we happen to be the next door neighbor and we're the first in line. If we want to open horseback riding to the public, this helps us out because we're not paying for the cost or the maintenance of it.
Well, the cost and the maintenance, I think, from my perspective, all the town of Old Lyme is paying a lot in taxes. So I don't think that we need this money. This is essentially nothing. $2,400 per year at 2%.
It's less every year.
Yes, and it gets less every year. It doesn't
So
make
are you
any...
proposing an increase in the amount? Are you proposing an increase in the rate over the year? What are you proposing? I mean, we've only been looking at these figures for 3 months now. It seems to me that you could have said something earlier.
I did say stuff and nothing got in there, so. Can I speak about it?
Go ahead.
The biggest issue I see, and I have a lot of issues, is once we take money and we lose what's called a liability shield, which is a state statute 52577G8, something like that, which says you can't get money from the town of Old Lyme as long as you don't charge people to go on property.
We have a $5 million.
Can I finish? And that's why we need a lawyer, because I'm not a lawyer. But as I read that is, once we take money in, now anybody on that property can sue the town of Old Lyme. And can you imagine the horse kills one person, 2 people? It's going to be multi-million-dollar suit. He's going to have $1 million of insurance for one person dead. He's going to have $2 million for 2 people dead. You think 2 people dead out there is going to be $2 million lawsuit? Probably be, I'm saying, $10 million. So they pay off 5, town pays off the next 5.
Oh yeah, it's a big...
It's a bad deal for the town financially. I mean, I want this for the Tullows and Vasilovs in a bad way. And I think that Tavis was crazy to walk away from the deal that they got. They got a stable, they got 50-some acres, is that right, 50 acres?
You're projecting.
And they got 200 acres of open space that they're going to ride on for the TNC. You think?
No, they're not riding on per the TNC. They cannot ride on our property without our permission. So that's
Well, you're
false.
not going to give the permission?
Not if it's not
You're not going to give you permission.
Not if it's carte blanche without us getting some guarantees.
We have some controls over anybody that rides on there. We'll set up some program, right?
No.
No. Okay. What's that now? This is brand new to me. I haven't heard this story before.
Can I ask a question, which I don't know if this will clarify, but why did the Open Space Commission deny horseback riding initially on this property? What were the reasons for that?
I think that we didn't want the responsibility.
Okay.
We were adding 312 acres, and for hiking, walking, biking, connecting it to Lay Allen now, the start of our crosstown trail. So we've never offered horseback riding on any of ours. Even though it was in the conservation easement, it wasn't a use that we've ever had on any of our properties. And to be honest with you, Evan, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we'd ever considered it until we were approached.
Right.
And so we
I don't
just...
think there was any...
No.
It wasn't, and I'm not sure that we actually prohibited horseback riding. The issue never came up.
I was going to say, I don't recall ever saying horses couldn't ride on open space.
Well, I asked this question at the last meeting, and the Tavises said that the reason they need the lease is,
to protect
Teacher Conservancy says it's allowed, but the Open Space Commission had not given permission.
Well,
they wanted, that assurance going forward that they would be able to buy there, which I understand.
Yeah, there was no assurance that they could, but there was no prohibition that they couldn't.
also, during the negotiations for the purchase of this property, which I was actively involved in, it came to the attention of all 3 families that really the conservation easement did not provide for the siblings to ride on other sibling's property. Now, that's open for interpretation. So they would have to have that right to. And so even though they'd done it in the past, and it was kind of one big happy family, when they start splitting it up, they would have to get permission for the remaining person, Anna Holland, who owns her piece, to get their permission to ride on their property. So they would have to get permission to ride on ours, on the land trust, on Marcia's property to the north of ours. So you need, yep.
This property that you guys bought, the 300 acres, has been ridden on with horses since the 50s.
Yeah.
With the McCullough horse farm. There were 50 horses there most of the time. I mean, and it was a tight family that everybody had a right to go everywhere on the property. Then they divided it up when they did the nature conservation agreement. I don't know if Gene and David and Taffy were aware of that clause saying that they didn't have permission to ride on the other counties. That was brought up at the point that you guys bought the land.
Right.
We did not know that. It was the lawyer's wording at that point. So in our minds, I mean, this is a horse farm that had 500 acres and all these trails, and to offer it for sale with 50 acres, with 40 stalls, it kind of misses something here, it's like, you can ride, a 10-minute walk, and that's it, when all these trails are out there that they've always ridden on. So, we're kind of looking for something back and allow us just to have a few horses ride. They're not doing a commercial project. They're having just the owners ride like 2 days a week, and they're all over 65 years old.
Can I make a quick comment, partly to Fred's comment, partly to Gary and Claudio about the need for a lease? We could say to Tevis family now, you can ride horses on this property, no lease, we're giving you the okay.
Yep.
What happens 10 years down the line when there's a whole new commission and they say, we don't like horses. Horses are eroding the trail, whatever their justification are, and say no. Then Mr. Tevis loses a lot of the value of his investment of butting a property in which he's been able to use. So the lease is one way for him, anyway, from his perspective, to ensure he can continue to use this.
But we can't really deny horseback riding because it's allowed by the Nature Conservancy easement.
But we don't have to.
I certainly can't deny it.
It's not prohibited, it's not guaranteed.
Right. We can advise the selectmen to open it up. But if you open it up, who's going to put all those signs up? Who's going to monitor it? Who's going to pick up the horse manure? We have a hard enough time with dogs and people sighting a bear and a coyote. I don't think anyone on this board is going to do that. So I would vote not to open it up if I didn't have somebody that is willing to pay the cost, maintain it, and do that. It's a big responsibility.
Well, if you open it up to horseback riding, you can say, you need to take your manure out if you're using it. Things
Oh.
I know. I'm going to just take a step at this, and then I'm going to be quiet.
No.
I appreciate the value of the lease to everybody, all the positives, but it's getting us, the town, into a fairly complicated relationship going forward. It has to be managed. Being able to say, okay, horseback riding for anybody, that may not be possible, but it'd be
But
nice
what do we
to-
do? What do we do with the fact that we suggested at one point just a memorandum of understanding, and our attorney, the town's attorney, said you really need a lease. So, if you're going to say, well, it's lawyers, what's the point of having it?
But
And also, I think, leases are pretty standard for towns. They lease buildings, they have fire stations, they get leases. This is
but really,
cut
You
and dry.
didn't listen to me when I talked about the liability.
No, just 1 second with the,
Town is
please.
taking on $5 million liability? If something happens there when we
They
lose the
have,
liability?
they have a $5 million insurance policy. I will contact the attorney tomorrow and ask him your question. And we can say, subject to, we pass this lease, subject to the town attorney saying that it does not diminish or take away our liability under the existing state statute.
You know it does.
No, I'm not an attorney. I don't know it
You've
for
been
their...
dealing with this for years. You must know that.
I'm a real estate person, not a
You should
commercial...
even know it more.
Gary, I don't know it.
I'm sorry if I'm getting in your face,
No, but I don't know it, and so I will call the attorney and ask him.
Can you call him now?
No.
How are we going to...
Because...
I could never vote for this thing if...
Well, you didn't vote for it last time.
I know, but
I just want to comment what Red was trying to clarify. But the bottom line is that in order for Mr. Travis to make this investment, it's kind of the town or this commission we are supporting the investment of someone else. To me, that shouldn't be the case for us to do a lease or something like that. There is a clear indication that is a kind of, and it raised the question why this was rushed in a way, because you are saying from your perspective that this has been discussed for several months, but I don't think that we have been, look at the list now and being pushed in such a way. I mean, this special meeting, it was a push, and it was approved. Well, I'm sorry I was not here, but there were several members that were not here. And
but we had a quorum.
yes, okay. Well, if you want to take it just like that,
Okay.
a quorum.
Can we give Ann a moment to...
Well, okay.
I
Thank
feel
you.
like the idea that we're supporting someone's investment, but that's not happening because that's just an explanation for their motivation. What we're entering into is an agreement that will compensate us for the fact that horses are going to be allowed on the property. If we decide that we are okay with horses being on the property, and I'm hearing a lot of people say that we are, that horseback riding was always on the property, and that it seems like a benign enough use, and sorting out the liability is important. Mm-hmm. But I walked a trail the other day, not one of ours, and there was horse manure all over the place. And, if we're going to allow horses on a property, I think it's an incredible opportunity to make sure that somebody says, I will be responsible for making sure that the trails are cleaned. So that's the perspective I'm coming from. Anyway. I don't see it as a conflict necessarily just because, anything you do is benefiting somebody in some way. This isn't just being done in order to benefit. It's being done for the purpose of deciding whether or not we can be comfortable with horses being used on the property.
Yes, I understand your point, but we could have provided permission, and we don't need a list. It's permitted.
And then we have horse manure everywhere.
But we would have no comment.
And no signs telling you if you're walking that there's horses and where horses are allowed and where there's no horseback, there's no horse trailer parking, or where there is horse trailer parking. There's a lot of work to maintaining our spaces. I think we all know that, and we're all lucky to have 3 land stewards. But Evan and I also do a lot of running around with beaver deceivers and spillways, checking this, and bridges and things like that. I'm not going to be checking horse manure and signs.
Can you clarify the compensation? Will that money come back to the open space committee?
No, so here's how that works. The town attorney informed me it goes into the general fund. So the thought was if we pass this lease, to advise the selectmen, the planning, the town meeting, and nature, not so much nature conservancy, all the other agencies we have to go through, that even though we recognize, excuse me, these funds go into the general fund, we would like to have it acknowledged that this comes from the open space and recommend that they put it in our acquisition fund each year. So we cannot say in here it has to go. But we can recommend, and we can take it to the Board of Finance, another board, and say, we would like this money to go to us, not in our budget, but in our acquisition.
So it would lead to offsetting the town's commitment to its normal funding for open space.
They might say, we'll put it in your budget in lieu of the town paying it. We may give the Tevis money to you.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's their decision. That's not our hands.
Okay, fair enough.
But it would be nice if we made that motion so they wouldn't say, oh, you never said, you know. So it would go into our land acquisition fund.
That's just to honor the intent of the Tevis family.
I think it is too. And they were going to ask people to, you know, their riders to contribute. And so I would say make sure you say, I'd like this in the land acquisition fund.
I think at one point we in this, as a manner that we've been discussing this for a while, I think at one point we discussed if we had a lease without compensation and they made a voluntary contribution to the fund, and I think the town attorney said you can't have a valid lease without compensation. So even if you had $1 for the lease, it triggered the same issues that Gary's raising.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions now. I heard you say something about commercial, and that just made me think.
I have some, it's related to item 8, but.
I'm thinking, if I was a businessman and I bought that place, I would try to make some money out of it. Now, I could say it's for my family, but I would want to make money. So I could start a club, charge you, let's board your horse there for $1,000 a month, you get the ride. So now it's commercial. Do we have anything in here that says there's no way he should turn that into commercial operation?
Number 8.
Well, number 8, I have the comment on number 8. There is a number of prohibitions on assignments and stuff.
Okay, that says he can't transfer. I'm saying if I had it, I would board your horse for you and charge you $1,000 a month. You can ride.
And also that there is the assignments. If you read on that paragraph, notwithstanding the foregoing, let's see, the following assignments are exempt from the prohibition. And in those that are exempt, it is the transfer to or among any corporation, limited partnership, limited liability company. I'm sorry, but partnership or other legally recognized entities. It looks like we are giving permission to corporations and LLCs and
LLCs and everything. It's
it opens
it's a snake pit, and they know what they're doing. I have another point on the $2,500 a year. We could say, even if we didn't have the lease, he's going to get the property just same as if he had the lease. So why don't he just donate $2,500 to the open space fund if he wants to donate?
We just had that question, and
No, you're not listening. No.
The lease there has to be a monetary concession.
Is that what he said? He can't donate?
He said
$1.
He said if you do an agreement, you need to do it for a sum of money. Greg just.
If a lease is not valid unless there's compensation.
Yeah, so I'm not.
If Mr. Tevis, we have a lease at minimum compensation for $1, it would trigger your other objection about
for a lease. We're not,
Foregoing the protection under state statute.
exactly, and I'm talking no lease.
Yeah.
If the guy wants to donate,
Mr. Tevis, I think, has been pretty unequivocal that he will not do this deal without a lease. Or some type of protection.
that's his absolute right on
Yeah.
it. But I'm equivalent with it. I can't do this either, so.
Also, the question for me is why do we have to sign an agreement with an LLC? I mean, if it would be a family, it's different. I mean, but with an LLC in the middle.
You know what LLC stands for?
Yes.
You got no money.
Yes, absolutely. I have cases in my own family.
Yeah.
They create an LLC definitely with a commercial profit or purpose.
Yeah.
So that I will be.
It's true.
Yes.
And a lot of people put in if they don't want the recognition, family recognition, they want to do it in sort of incognito, they put it in an LLC. People do that all the time.
Also, sometimes if you have several family members and they all are own 20% quote of an LLC.
Yeah, you can have a family corporation, which is an LLC.
And then it gets out from the transfer, the tax parts of it. It's a vehicle to have multiple.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's mainly a vehicle to limit your liability. Is anybody arguing with that?
No, absolutely. That's the purpose, the main purpose. The name indicates that.
Here, I don't know if what I'm saying is absolutely the law.
Well, it's interesting to me that for the last 4 or 5 months, a lawyer's been going over it and he's the town attorney, and he hasn't raised any objections.
Well, I'll tell you what, the lawyers all graduate in the bottom half of their class, just like doctors.
And the other half graduated in the top half.
Yeah, exactly. But I might be wrong. The LLC is something that came up in one of these recent drafts. I hadn't noticed that before.
They started, I think it's...
And my question is just, does that complicate this?
No,
Any exposure to the town?
We're not, but how they're taking title to the property. And so that's why it bookends that. So it's their family company. They've got grown children, and so it makes it easier for them to, handle it.
If I could just make a comment on this whole process and discussion. We have, notwithstanding Claudio's objections, already approved this lease in such.
Hello?
Exactly. Yep.
Now,
Andrea?
Oh, you cut out, so I didn't hear that last part.
So we already approved this lease in substance, with the exception of a couple of corrections that we were supposed to vote on today. I feel confident that this lease will have, by the time, if it proceeds through to execution, will have sufficient scrutiny that the town will be protected. If this board approves this lease, it'll go to the Planning Commission, which has an attorney. If the Planning Commission approves it, it'll go to the Board of Selectmen, who will have an attorney. And then it'll go to the town meeting, and all of us can vote on it, yes or no. And if you're saying that people object, we should have lease, people can vote yes or no on it. So, and all we're doing essentially is recommending that it continue on in this process.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
It's fine with me.
I just don't want my name on the recommendation, that's all.
Well,
I understand it's going to go
Your
through.
prerogative.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, we all have a prerogative, and we all vote.
I just have a question. Is anybody here conflicted? I know we got real estate, we got what Amanda does and all that. So there's nobody here.
What does she do?
Nobody here. Well, I wanted you to trace some stuff down the other day. You said you wouldn't do it on Tamahag, so.
God, no.
And I don't know anybody that could do it any better than you, so.
No.
Okay, that was just a question I had.
No, but Gary, even though sometimes I get a little short-tempered with you, I do realize that you have valid points, like the insurance. So I will call the attorney tomorrow and ask him that specifically. But other than that, I think that until the Tevis family brought this up, I never would have thought of horseback riding because I don't want the maintenance. As you were kidding me about all the files I bring, you won't believe how much time Evan and I spend on this. And to add one more thing to our slate, oh, can you pick up the horse manure and put the signs up? It's like, And who's going to follow in our footsteps? We can't keep burdening this commission. And I think we need to reach out to good neighbors. And I've spent many months now talking to the Tevis family. I'm impressed that he's a conservationist. We've talked about like kinds of things. I think they will be good stewards of that property. Marcia and Wayne's our land steward, sorry, Jeff, but you know, all of these family members have reached out and said how pleased they are. So I can't think that it's a bad deal. I really feel very strongly.
I'd like to make the point of what, if we, sorry to say
Go
it,
ahead.
but if we bugger this deal, what are the alternatives for the town and for the Vassiloff family? Who else is going to come in? And what are they going to do?
Well, I would imagine there's a lot of rich New Yorkers who would love that.
Oh, please don't. No,
that would be chicken feed for them.
You know, now we know what we're getting. It's a known quantity. So if this deal doesn't go through, there could be something else that, you know, we may not like and may not have any choice over. So I think it benefits all of us. With the big discussion on public access, we've got public access to a horse trail on the Red Trail. We've got the selectmen approving it. We've got Public Works. We've got signs. We've got manure removal. We've got a lease that protects us, knowing that we'll get a minimal amount of money, but knowing that the maintenance and the care of the property, I mean, isn't that what we talk about here at Open Space, is protecting and preserving? We're restoring it to a right that was previously there, to a family that I think Evan and I have met them, that have common values. And that's what impressed me, is it's not someone coming and said, we got a deal for you, we're going to put in a merry-go-round, we're going to do this and that. It's like kinds going and moving forward with the Tevis, their children, and their offspring to protect and preserve a beautiful piece of old line. And for years, the number one piece to acquire an open space is the McCulloch Farm, and this is part of the McCulloch Farm. So it's kind of keeping it together in a conservation way, which I think is very nice.
Well, and continuing an activity which has been going on, as Marcia said, since the 1950s, and with a lot more activity than what the Tevises are proposing. So I think it's minimal. I've seen lots of. I spent years working in Wyoming, and I've seen how the trails can be overused by 50 horses at a time and pack trains and things like that. I minimal use, and with the opportunity to have the maintenance taken care of, and plus a little bit of money to compensate the town. So I'd like to see this discussion. I'd like to take a minute.
Greg had one comment.
Make two quick comments. When we're talking about the insurance, there is a clause in the lease which says the insurance levels will increase as time goes on, as basically per the economy and cost of living and so forth that goes forth. And I'm trying to recall the exact details of the discussion, but I recall either the town attorney, Amanda, or you said someone would consult with Tim about what appropriate limits for insurance were. Was Tim consulted, and did he suggest those terms that are in the lease?
Tim thought 1.3, Rich says for commercial we should go 5, and Tevis agreed to it. We'll get to 5, however.
So what Tim and Tevis basically is reflected in here.
Yes.
And the last thing I wanted to mention is Claudio made a comment that the minutes on the last meeting were not in great detail. I would note that the meeting, the special meeting, was held via WebEx, and there's a complete recording of that entire meeting, which has been online for 2 weeks now. So anybody that wanted to go back and look at that meeting and all the discussion, including discussion between the town attorney and Mr. Tevis, was able to do so and still is able to do so.
Right.
Also, I just want to say for the minutes, we've learned from other boards, we follow we have more in our minutes than I think anyone else.
Yeah.
But it's good to just kind of leave it open, or not open, but be succinct. We don't need to go into 30 pages of minutes, so we try. Because
I also note, excuse me, that today's discussion is being recorded as we speak now, so.
Yeah.
Well, that I think it's important, because just one sentence, that this meeting, the minutes, has been recorded and are available. I don't know about that, so I appreciate that you said that, but I think it would be useful to have. And also, if we are being recorded, I would like to know that I am being recorded.
Every time we record on WebEx, there's a automatic, as soon as you hit record, there's a prompt which says this meeting is being recorded. And then when you hit stop, it says recording stops. That's automatically built into the software.
Okay, good to know.
So you're all recorded.
I just want to ask Amanda if you are going to ask the lawyer about the liability. Or
I am. I have that down right here on my...
Would you ask this specific question or on the item 8? The transfer is not the following assignment.
What page are you on?
Yeah, I am item 8. I don't have the number.
8. Oh, I thought you said A. Sorry.
8. The assignment and subletting. And it's specifically, the following assignments are exempt from the prohibition. And it's the transfer to or among any corporation, limited partnership, limited liability company, all that sentence. So all the parts are...
If you read that second paragraph, they can do anything they want.
Well, that's my interpretation, but since you're going to be talking with the lawyer,
okay.
It's too extensive.
So I can put number 8.
Yeah.
So we would have written consent for any transfer.
Or even a transfer, or if they change it says entity conversion, which means that the way that the corporation...
That is the second paragraph, right? The exemptions.
Or so take out or to any among corporation, limited partnership. So,
yeah, all that. I mean, it looks to me that it's a complication.
So you want starting with or taken out?
Yes, there. Yeah. That specific part.
Well, so, if the family trust changes its name, that's...
I read that as basically still keeping it within the family, because it says in there a limited liability corporation, partnership, whatever, the entity which the controlling interest is held by basically the family or the heirs or descendants, spouses, whatever.
So if they change their name, that you want us to get written consent if they change their name?
I don't know. If you can ask the lawyer their opinion.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Well, that would be important in terms of insurance, who's insured.
We're named as the insuree. The insured is the company, the person that owns the Tevis at this point, their LLC, and we are named under a $5 million policy for our benefit.
Who is it in the town that's going to make sure that that policy is in effect every single day?
We get copies of I get copies of the insurance on our Lan Stewards, and that's the liability.
Who in the town is responsible for that policy is in effect every single day? I have a reason for saying this.
You get a notice.
We will, in the insurance policy, it says if this gets canceled or something, who do we send the notices to? It goes to Town of Old Lyme. So if they see a cancellation of a lease, Tim will probably get it first. The first selectman, he'll refer it to the finance department, and then we'll get a call. I mean, I can't tell you who the person's name is right now.
Well, the way this is written, if they don't pay within 15 days, we do something. So that to me means for 15 days, we don't have insurance.
No, you start a policy when this lease is signed.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it comes up for renewal, if it's not renewed, then they notify us, and you have a grace period, usually a 60-day, then we go back to them. Or we can make the burden of them every time we renew the lease, we want to attach to the check the renewal of the insurance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think about the mechanism that we can go to the town attorney and receive a interpretation of Claudio's request and still move this forward without a new vote, Amanda. So if we could say that, what your concern is that a outside corporation may get control, somebody outside the family?
My concern.
That's what I am reading, but I might be wrong.
We have two
That's what I
questions.
do.
It's a legalese, gobbledygook here. I don't know what it says, but I'm scared of it.
Okay, so this lease, we could vote on accepting it, subject to satisfaction of two questions: the state liability. If somebody outside the Tevis LLC falls, is the state liability come into effect? Okay, that's number one. And then number 8 is any transfer outside of the family needs our permission, needs our written position. So those are the only two things that I see holding this up. Okay, your turn.
Okay. I don't think I understood you. If anybody gets hurt over there, whether it's you, me, the guys in New York walking through, or the Tevis people, they all can sue the town. The town lost its liability. Shield.
Well, that's the question. I don't think
that's the question.
We don't know that for sure.
We don't.
Anybody gets hurt can. Okay.
So that's the question I'm asking the attorney tomorrow.
I thought you said except the Tevises, so.
I know he's planning to have everybody on the property sign a lien waiver.
Yeah, he'll do that. He's not going to take any chances at all. You're right.
I know they don't stand up 100%, but nothing does.
I'm not an attorney, so I'm going to ask the town attorney those two questions, and if he says, yes, the state liability is in effect, and no, they can't transfer it to anybody outside the family or their family LLC without written permission from us, and he says that's true, then I would think that we've approved the lease. Is that my understanding of?
Well, I'm still voting no.
But that's your option. But
Okay, I'm just telling you.
Okay, but
I have any other questions? So I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, but
can ask those two questions and proceed with the vote.
Okay, but you notice this big pile here, and you all groaned when I came in, and then said we're leaving at 7. After 6 now.
But I would have been happy to help you guys work this through, and I never got involved in that at all.
That lease has been out there for a month.
You didn't ask me to sit down with you and go over this line.
I don't need to hold your hand, Gary. You can do. You guys can do this.
Did you ask anybody here to do it, or just you and Evan did it?
No. It's been and I sent it out yesterday and said, please, and I apologized to Fred. He tried to call me twice. I missed the calls. But no, we've always had conversation, lots of conversation.
We've been sitting in this room for hours and hours.
Since April.
Discussing this, and I don't understand why all of this has come up right now. We've already.
Well, I've had some questions answered for me today that I didn't understand,
So let me ask this before we take a vote. With those two questions, me asking the attorney, and I'll send an email out as soon as I get a response, how do you feel about the rest of the lease?
Oh, I'm a no, so.
I know, without Gary, we know how you are. I want to hear from other people. Mike, you haven't had any comments?
I haven't really been following it that close because I didn't think I was going to get a chance to vote, and I haven't really had a chance to get to know the property yet, so I feel a little.
Okay, Ann?
I think we've done our due diligence. With those two questions resolved, I'm comfortable with it.
Okay. I know you're an alternate, but we appreciate your thoughts on it.
look, I know this has been a painful conversation. We spent a lot of time on it, but I think it's been worth it. You know, my view is we're locking the town into an agreement for a long period of time. It's going to require effort on the town to manage this. So also I'm new to the committee, so I'm not aware of the history of all this. So that's been reflected in some of my questions, and I appreciate you answering them. I still feel a little hesitant of locking the town into this, but I do see a lot of the advantages to the town. And at this point, if I were to vote, I think, subject to answering the questions we've brought today, I would tend to go with the experienced people on the board and vote for it. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Claudio?
Yeah, I have a very strong feeling against the 75 years or 25 with option 1 or option 2. I mean, I think it's not necessary. We are rushing into this. Again, my initial position was to have a trial time at least of 3 years, see how things are going. We can evaluate pros and cons on the field, on the action as it pursued. This, but to my surprise, it was 25 years plus 25 plus 25. I think I don't get it. So I'm sorry.
It says we can terminate this if
It's a material breach.
No.
We cannot terminate it.
No,
Yeah, we
if they're egregious, yes.
If for default, we can terminate it.
Yeah, only.
We can't terminate it if we decide we don't like it.
There are.
Well,
yeah.
it's gotta have ground.
But they can be terminated.
Yeah.
There needs to be a material breach.
Right.
Yeah, and I
Any
would
contract.
say, as far as the 25-25, coming into the last meeting that we discussed it, Mr. Tevis was pretty firm that he was going to take less than 49, so we got him to give substantial.
No, he was starting in 99. He said, that's a deal breaker. Listen, I heard about so many
That's a
deal breakers.
negotiation position.
Then it was 49, 25, 24, and then I said, 25, 25, and he said, yes. So everybody's been negotiating.
It's a meeting of the minds and both sides compromise. That's how you
It's painful. It's in public, so everybody, you have to get it out there, but...
Yeah.
So, Evan, Greg, what are your thoughts?
My thought is that I think we've negotiated as best we can on behalf of the town. I feel comfortable that this will benefit the town and open space, and I think also, again, that this deal will continue to be under scrutiny by other boards and people, and if there's any risks, that there will be additional opportunity for that to be uncovered. And I think when the town gets to the point where ink is put on paper, I think we'll be well protected and it'll be a benefit.
Kevin?
I think it's a good use of the property. I see no reason. I'm involved in other places in the town of Lyme. For instance, where there's a foundation, a couple hundred acres, horseback riding has continued for years and years and years. There's been no issue of liability. Most horseback riders understand that if they get on the top of a horse, there's always the chance that you're going to get injured. And so you sign a waiver and you go. So I think I would echo Greg's approval simply because it's going to benefit the town, and you know, we've been accused of being sort of bizarrely being anti-public access, and we're increasing public access through this lease. And if the town attorney, and I happen to think that, you know, why attorneys go to law school, if you get a recommendation from the town attorney and he says this is what you need to do, you do it. So I think that resisting this simply for the joy of resisting is something that I find kind of obnoxious.
Well, I think it's that qualification of resisting. I don't know.
There's no joy in resisting.
I don't think it's a different opinion.
No, you've already spoken.
Difference of
I'd
opinion.
like to do a summary, like,
I just want to, Andrea's on the phone.
Andrea, would you like to give us your thoughts on this? Thank you for pointing that out.
Thank you. I believe that this is a benefit to the town. It increases public access. It has been and will continue to be scrutinized as it goes off, and I think it's a agreement with a viable owner of the property and the caretaking, and just in short, I would approve this.
Okay, thanks. And I think we're ready to go to a vote.
Okay.
are you telling me I can't?
No, I think you've spoken enough, and you will speak through your
No,
vote.
I'd like to hear one more.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
To me, this vote is not about the use of horses on that property. That is codified in the conservation easement. This vote is only about the lease and how it affects the town. And I do realize we're getting some gain, but I think the risk that we're taking far exceeds the gain by far.
Okay.
I agree with your.
We've got to move on. We have so much on the agenda. It's 6:20, and I think we've gone round and round about this. I would like to see it come to a vote
To move this along to the
it's selectmen and the planning,
selectmen,
and because we have planning tomorrow night.
yeah.
With the understanding, that the two questions concerning the liability, the state liability, and number 8 needing written consent are answered to our benefit, that we recommend to the selectmen and the planning that they sign the Tevis lease.
Okay, are you making a motion?
Yes, I just did. Sorry.
Will this commission see in writing the answer to those questions?
As soon as I get it, I'll send you an email. Okay?
No, I'm talking about in writing from whoever answers the question. Not you, from the lawyer, I guess.
We can work that out. As soon as he's in, I'll send it to Greg. He'll send it to all of you. Okay?
Thank you.
I second the motion.
I'll second the motion if it's not already.
Greg just did, so
Okay.
how about if we take a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 1, 2, 3,
Andrew, did you hear that?
and Andrea 5.
Thank you.
And all against? Okay, Claudio and Gary. And any abstentions?
We're not voting, right?
No, because we have
7, you can count.
We have our full membership.
full membership.
Regular members
Okay.
Thank you. I will contact, if the attorney's in, I'll contact him tomorrow. We have this going before the Planning Commission tomorrow, so hopefully we'll find out those answers. I'm going to jump ahead just 1 second because I know Ann has a lengthy discussion, and I really want to focus on that. However, with 25 minutes left, and we not having an August meeting, would you all...
35 minutes.
Oh, well, if we don't have time, would we be willing to do a special meeting? Because I felt that we've shortchanged Ann in the last couple of meetings on this topic, and I really think we've completed most of our assignments for the year, and we really need to focus on this, and I really would like to spend a lot of time on focusing on all your hard work that you've done. So let's get through this meeting. But I don't think we're going to have time, so I'm just going to warn you. Midsummer Festival.
Amanda, I just want to make a quick comment.
Okay.
You had asked me previously when we were drafting the agenda to remind you to make a note of the allocation of funds.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. The Affordable Housing Commission, it was granted under ARPA $150,000, and of that is, we think, it's not really spelled out, is the purchase of the envelopes, which will come, the $100,000 will come back into our acquisition fund, which would be very nice. And so another commission we need to meet with soon. And I also want to just mention that the Connecticut Humane Society wrote us a very nice thank you for our donation in Jim Mildren's wife's name.
Oh, good.
So if we could go to Midsummer Festival, I have a couple of things. And Suzanne, I wanted to just mention to you, I finally spoke to the woman at the Academy, and she says, yes, we can set up Friday afternoon, and we're given 2 parking spaces. We can set up Friday so we can do the tent.
Good.
We're next to your 2 spaces. We're next to the Nahantic Indian tribe, which they had did the thing. And she gave you 4 parking spots. She gave us 2, but you need to check back with her. Elsbeth. Well, Elsbeth. And she said, I just said, gee, I think they could use 4, because I was thinking you had the Raptors. I don't know if you have the Raptor. I don't know who you have. Okay. On our, and they're going to lend us tables and chairs. We'll set up Friday. I want the Art Association.
What time?
It starts from, it's 9 to 4. If we're going to set up on Friday, and Evan cannot be there on Saturday, but if we get the tent and maybe the tables and move things over on Friday, so I'm going to put me for a setup where Evan was, and then I had Gary for 9 to 1.
9 to 1?
Are we talking Friday or Saturday?
Saturday is the only day.
But we set up on Friday.
We can set up
What time do we have access on Friday?
all day Friday, so whenever we want to do. So I'm just checking on what we have, and then I had Fred, Greg, and Ann, 1 to 4. Andrea, were you there?
1 to 4 on Friday or Saturday?
I'm not in town.
Okay, Andrea's away.
What I would recommend or suggest is to have a laptop and maybe a screen, but certainly a laptop that we could then hook into Wi-Fi and run the videos from the website.
Who's going to run that?
Well, if it's a laptop on the table, it's just kind of a loop, or you click it when somebody comes by.
I don't.
Andrea, I would suggest that if we're going to have a laptop, well, obviously we got to arrange for power. I don't know if that's standard, but that you download those videos to a hard drive, so you don't need Wi-Fi access.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you work that out with somebody, because if you're not there, the people that are there are putting up what's going to be there. So I'm not running a laptop or anything else, and I don't know anyone else 1 to 4 who's going to run it. So you set that up and let us know what you're going to do. What we have so far is we have our hiker's map, the dog bowl underneath it. We have 4 tables. We have downstairs that big poster that made for the beavers, and we'll put the deceivers on it. Claudia, you said you had your insect.
Yes.
You can let us know how large that is.
Yeah, he talked to me.
Okay, so we can fine tune it.
If there is a space for a poster, I have, but it's not necessary.
We have 1 easel.
Yeah. No. So it's boxes that can be distributed.
So how much space do you take? We have an 8-foot table.
It's a space like this, or if I have the boxes here on one on top of the other, because they fit, I can get a box and show it.
Are you going to like to spread them out, though, right?
Are you going to be there all day doing this demonstration? Well, see, that's why you need to think of if somebody walks through.
No. If you let me know, you say 1 to 4, and what in the morning? What time is it?
9 to
9. It's the event is 9 to 4.
Okay, so I can be 9 to 1.
Could you be able to put together some really short notes, so if you're not there and someone asks?
Or a handout.
It's a bug.
Yeah,
it's a bug. Yeah.
Bug identification 101.
You're the guy.
Master naturalist.
Yeah.
So I would suggest that
very briefly.
Okay, good.
I have like a paper or something that you can show.
Okay, just email me with your size dimensions, and if you're going to set it up, then you need to be there around 8:30 to bring it all and load it.
Okay.
Behind the Art Association will be, if you're looking at the Art Association, will be on the right. Suzanne, the first 2 booths, then us, then the Handouts, then some bake shop. Bring your coffee. There's no coffee being sold. But there's the spaces behind. So if we set up on Friday and get the table, then all we have to do is just kind of fine tune the exhibits.
I have a question for both you and for Suzanne. Are we going to hand out any of the Who's Who pamphlets with all the hiking things that we did together? The pamphlets that the Land Trust and Open Space did? You're talking about a map, but actually something people could take. Yeah, I know you guys have printed, Leah printed them last. Maybe our turn.
I don't know, but maybe she could let us know so we don't duplicate. I'm not going to do, Evan and I discussed and we felt this is an open space booth. So we're going to do open space. In the past we've done pollinator gardens, but I think
it is our publication as well. It's a publication we both developed and we both have printed.
What? The pollinator?
No.
Oh, that. Yeah. But I'm just saying we're not doing handouts for other groups per se. Like in the past, remember we did the pollinator garden going. We're going to focus on open space. And Ann, you had talked about doing something for Ferry Landing.
Right. Well, it is at this month, unless there's a compelling reason to change it. Essentially a poster or a panel, an educational panel. I was talking with the interns earlier this week, and their desk said, "Oh yeah, we can get pictures of some of the invasives and some of the wildlife that we're trying to improve habitat for, and Google Earth map."
Can you do something that stands up a little, even if you have that easel,
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it's always important to show people where it is.
Yeah.
So so that great. Yeah.
And then just a one or two line description of the project, and then hopefully we can have, a handout that's a little more.
I think it'd be nice to say this is our first step towards a wildlife refuge versus, public access. But I would point out that there is public access going to be next door where we're working with others, and this is, I think I read in your literature, this is a 4 or 5 year project. It goes over time. And so but yeah, that'd be great. So I'll have, the beavers probably in the back, and then I'll have you, and I'll have Claudio, and then we'll have some handouts. Anybody else want to put anything in?
I've got a poster that's 3.5 by 3 for this life cycle of AOYs. It would sit on the table up against the pole if you got room for me.
Are you bringing something to stand it up against?
I could.
Yes, because we have nothing to stand it up. Do you have handouts that explain it?
I don't. I'll be there to explain it all day if you want me to.
Well, I think a handout would be good.
I could get a handout.
You could make something so that if no one's there, they won't say, "What is this?" And then the rest of us go.
Your panel will be sort of self-explanatory.
It is but there could be questions, and I do have a handout I'd like to pass out.
Okay.
How do I get that made? Will the town do that for me?
Get what?
Copies of the handout made.
Well, just go in there and it's conservation, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So conservation has a code because you get billed for your copies.
We don't know the code. Okay.
But Michelle knows, so she'll tell you.
Either the Michelles, Gary. Talk to either of the Michelles.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think what I need to know is when we're picking up the tables, Evan and I are putting the tables together, how wide your space is, what you need, so we can, figure out what's going on. Handouts are always important. People love handouts. They want to talk, what's going on with open space. They always say, "Oh yeah, you have Loman." We go, "No, that's the land trust next door." And they always say, "You have McCullough." They go, "No, that's the one next door." And so, and it's fun. It really is. There are a lot of people. There are a lot of curious. They ask a lot of questions. So that sounds great.
So Amanda, 8:30.
8:30.
And I need to check again if I can stand, but otherwise I'll be until 1:30.
Okay, and just let me know just email how much space you need.
Yes.
And then what handouts.
Yes.
And bring a lot. And I would suggest that you put them in a folder that marked. So if you run out, then we can just reach under the table and pull more out. I don't want to put all of them out.
Okay.
So, and if you have any other questions, let me know.
Does anybody need help with the tables and chairs? I can help you. Just let me know where.
Friday, I think Evan and I are setting up the tent.
Well, I could use some help.
Tell me where to be when.
Yeah.
We don't know Friday sometimes.
Yeah. Friday afternoon will be fine. It doesn't take long to set up the tent. All it is.
Give me a little notice.
Weather dependent.
Yeah.
And we'll have our signs up too. Okay. Hikers take a hike and.
Will you not be there Saturday?
Unfortunately, as I was explaining, I've got a funeral in Larchmont, New York, that I need to be at.
So the only reason I asked is I will be there at the end of the day, and I'll probably have my truck to help my wife. I can take the tent. I don't know, you're getting the tent from somewhere?
Yeah, I'm borrowing it from the Land Trust.
Okay, so I can keep it in my truck in my garage.
That would be great. That would be.
Because we'll have to take all of the boards too.
I can help with cleanup as well.
Oh yeah, anybody that has 1 to 4, if they could help us with the cleanup, because we'll have vehicles behind. It's going to be hard to find parking, so I'm just warning you. And Friday, if you do it too late, there's that big festival by Flo Grizz Friday night, the singers on the river.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, just don't make it. I would say like 2 or 3 in the afternoon.
It should take no more than 15 minutes I've set up this tent for the Tour de Lime several times, and it's just you unfold it and you.
Is it staked?
I don't remember. I think it just.
Well, we kind of need to put some stakes in it.
Well, I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay, I'm just saying bring some, because if it gets windy at night, it starts flying. So if you bring some stakes out and rope, and I'll help you. I'll do some. So okay, so we'll coordinate that Friday, weather dependent, you know. Worst case is put it in, you know, down there and put a tarp over it and then put it up Saturday, so. Okay, so that sounds pretty good.
So who is going to be in the morning?
I am.
You are going to be.
I'll be there.
Okay.
I'm here.
That's good.
Yeah, I don't know. As long as there's donuts down the street, I just have to bring the coffee, right?
Oh, wow.
The DEEP.
Okay, Deep Open Space Watershed Land Acquisition Grant Program, who's in charge of that?
Well, I just put that on the agenda to note that the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection is doing another grant round to expire at the end of September, and I understand there'll be significantly more money than this last grant round in that. So if Open Space wishes to consider acquisition, our deadline.
Okay, state support. Okay.
Okay.
Great, thanks. So, Button Ball. Fred, do you want to?
Yeah, just real quick, the group got together on the 7th. It was attended by all the select people.
Excuse me, I just want to note that I recuse myself from
Okay.
this. Thank you, sorry.
Yeah, and all the members of the committee were there except for one from inland wetlands. But anyway, the the atmosphere was good. I think everybody is I find very positive, and so we're in the process. I'm in the process of scheduling a meeting. I haven't heard back from everybody as to meeting dates. I'm a little concerned about the summer schedules, getting everybody together. For the first meeting, I'd like to have everybody on the committee there because we're going to set the agenda for what we want to do. That's pretty much it.
Are you the chair of that, Fred?
Oh, yes. Select
Congratulations.
as the chair of the committee. Yes.
What is your end result? Are you going to make a recommendation to the board, or are you going to make a decision, or how is that process going to work?
I think it's like here, we'll make a recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah. So once you come up with a plan, it'd be nice to run it by the Open Space Commission, get your input. But I have no specific suggestions from the members at this point to recommend to anybody. So, I think watching out for the privacy is a concern. So that'll be something I'll be watching as well. But yeah, it's a beautiful property, and it'd be nice to open up to access for the public and combine that with good stewardship.
I noticed your fellow committee member got a little ink in that.
Yeah, that's scary.
He got some online imagery.
The muck boots.
He got voted too, I think so.
But I'm just interested in getting a good map that has the information on it that we need to make decisions about and consider things, and that's in the process, really. So I'm not sure how long that's going to take to get that, but there's not a lot that we can talk conceptually about things, but without really a good map and knowing where the wetland boundaries are, we're going to find out how wide the right-of-way is and actually see where it's staked. It's 40 feet wide coming in from the road.
But that's just the right-of-way, it's not the roadway.
The traveled portion.
Well, yeah, the right-of-way is supposedly 40 feet. I haven't really seen that 58 map. So we're going to collect information, and it does turn out that there was a filled section of gravel that goes out almost to the channel of the Blackwall River, and that was why I was probing. There are 3 mics on the commission, so I don't know if we all vote together stymie it, but the mic from the Harbor Management Commission had this aerial photography that showed it was filled, and indeed there is. I guess they had a lot of gravel there.
Well, that was the McGowan's ran a gravel pit there, and
and the gravel extends all the way out to the Blackhall River.
To the edge of the Blackhall River, but not to the channel. I don't think.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's at the channel. My boots weren't big enough to step.
You would have needed.
It would go to your thigh if you stepped. Trust me, I did that once.
Goes down about as far as you can walk on.
But it's very distinct, and depending on how much they put, it probably compressed the marsh somewhat. But the boundary is very distinct, and because of rising sea level and probably some settlement, the marsh is kind of recolonized over that sand and gravel.
Yeah.
So you don't see it really. Well, you can see it because the vegetation's high marsh instead of low marsh grass. So just collecting facts and looking at stuff. What's there? I think there's a lot of capacity with a minimal activity and disturbance to the natural habitat, to do some interesting things there to improve access. Certainly to get people there to view. It's if you haven't been there, it's spectacular.
Well, I'd be curious to see what the Natural Heritage Database shows up, because that property is within one of their designated ovals.
Endangered.
For potential.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they say. I don't have great confidence in that whole operation myself, having dealt with it for quite a while. Mm-hmm. I often thought I should file an FOI, but they passed the statute that doesn't allow you to file an FOI to find out what's there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then it gets interpreted, because someone writes a letter and says, oh, yeah, we looked at the blob, and there's no impact by the activities you propose. And I say, well, that's it? How did you reach that conclusion? Mm-hmm. What were the organisms and things that you considered, and why did...
They're trying to protect the area of collectors and people who...
That's nominal. The blob is so big.
Yeah.
A collector's not going to be able to traverse the blob to figure out where the actual thing is. Or what's the age? Are we talking 1830?
Yeah.
Or 2021 for the observation? So, but anyhow, I did find some. I have a collection of historic maps that I hadn't really organized in a long time, that I probably got 30 years ago, and I have an at some point, not today. I have an 1838 map of it and the Blackhall River and the location, interestingly enough, and now it's been digitized, and I found it online, as well as an 1880-ish map.
How far north does that go?
It goes to, a little bit beyond our site, interestingly enough. So it's interesting to look at old Lyme in 1860 or 1838.
Past,
too much information.
Past the railroad? Does it go past the highway? 95?
95 wasn't there in 1830.
Yeah, but does it go past?
No.
Was 156 there?
No.
Probably not. There's a road there.
There's an old road. There was a bridge abutment where the marina is. And there was an old shore road.
Interestingly enough, in 1838, the Griswold Point wasn't Griswold Point; it was Blackhall Point.
Yeah.
That was also.
It doesn't become Griswold Point.
Poverty Island, right next to Griswold Point.
1880s.
There's a great book on Black Hall. If you guys want to read it, it's in the library.
Yeah. Okay, I think we can probably move on from this discussion. If Fred, do you have anything further?
No, I think, I'll have more substance after the committee meets.
Okay, good. Thank you for the report. Ferry Landing in 15 minutes.
Well, we have a few other things to do.
Well,
I'm not sure, whether we can really address much, especially because there's other things on the agenda.
I would, if you all are willing, Ann has spent so much time, if we could find a good time to put an hour to 2 hours aside, because 1 hour. Okay.
If all we're talking about is Ferry Landing?
If all we're talking about is Ferry Landing, because the next big project that we are working on over the next several years. And I think it needs more than 5 minutes right now. And Ann has been working on it diligently for the last several months. And we kind of whipped through her stuff at the meetings. And I think...
I'm happy to meet again.
Okay, so we'll figure it out and send it. What is better, mornings or evenings for you all? 9 or 5? Or 10?
I'm fine with
9 works.
Yeah.
Either, but I can do 5.
Yeah, I figure 9. So we'll send the next. Do you want to do it before midsummer or after midsummer? Okay. So 9 after midsummer. Okay.
Can I make just a quick question for Ann? Thank you for putting all this together, and you've been putting together a lot of good background. Is there anything that you would like us to particularly do to prep for that meeting, to look at, or offer comments to you, or whatever?
You know, some of the things that I was hoping we could discuss have to do with liability. I'm just beginning now to work with these 2 interns, and so I have a lot of questions, sort of housekeeping questions about that, which don't really necessarily have to take place in committee, in the commission meeting. But there's, it's all in the report, really. If you have questions, email me, and
you might want to check with Nicole, who's Director of Finance.
Okay.
Because she would be able to, I think, answer questions on liability about summer interns and things. I know we had a summer intern a couple of years ago, Julia Stout, that we didn't pay, but we had an intern. So
that's the other question.
Yeah. And then this is a letter that Tim passed on to me that that you need to address. Yeah. So okay. So
would Nicole also? Ann had a question about purchasing. Would Nicole be the person for that as well?
Yes, I would. Yes. And she responds to email better than phone calls or nothing. So, and I have her email, but you should be able to. Okay, thank you for putting that. Yeah.
The only other sort of time-sensitive thing is I would like to send out the neighbor letter. So if anybody has a chance to look at it and has thoughts, it'd be great. I'd like to send it out before the meeting.
Yeah, send it to me.
I sent it to everybody, but in the packet. But I'm just, a lot of people are away in August.
Yeah.
Were you thinking of maybe an early September, like after Labor Day meeting? That's
not a meeting. We're not.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
We're just sending them a letter.
Okay.
And if
they'll
get it when they get back from vacation.
No, I didn't. I thought it was. I read part of it. Okay.
And I think it's better to sort of say, call us with questions, and we'd be happy to meet with you, or individually.
Well, if you did it soon enough, you could say, see you
to midsummer.
Yes, exactly. So that'd be a good thing to put in there. Just make sure the rest of us can answer the questions. Or I have a handout for us. Yeah, no, I think that'd be great. So maybe if you have a chance, Evan, you can look over the letter. I'll look over it tomorrow.
And it was in an email?
It was attached to my report.
A couple of days ago, she sent it like 3 documents, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, 3 documents, and that was one of them.
The contract, that's the other issue, is the contract for all habitat, which...
Yeah, I saw that bid. Woo!
Yeah. It's over 4 years, actually.
Well,
I would just note, Ann, that Evan switches email, so from Coldwell Banker to Gmail.
Yeah.
So
go to Gmail.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay. Community outreach. What was?
So that would be me. Can you hear me okay?
Sorry, Andrea. I always saw you volunteer coordinator. Sorry.
She's hiding.
Okay.
Can you all hear me?
Yep. Good.
All right. So I don't need to say much more. I think you've been receiving the emails of the new website presentations of the film, which are ongoing, and there are about 5 more coming in short succession. And with Ann, I'm going to be coordinating work parties for the ferry landing come fall with the high school,
right,
as well as other work on any other properties as people, including Peter Norris, sees fit. And if anyone has any recommendations or suggestions of projects in addition, whether it be bridges or invasive clearings beyond the ferry and then Ames, let me know.
Andrea, just for the minutes, the work party that's going to help on ferry landing, is that the environmental club?
Is that what? I'm sorry?
Would that be the environmental club that will help with the ferry landing?
It can be, absolutely.
Okay.
Andrew, I had a question for you, because when I talked to the Art Association and they said the Nahan people, whatever we're called, tribe, were going to be next to us, and I remember that you had some information on the first occupation of Sheep's Ledge Cave. So
I did not have information on that particularly. Someone, I don't remember who, was going to reach out to John Pfeiffer to ask about his report.
Did you have any information? I thought you had.
It was my understanding that we were going to do that.
That was one of grants.
Anticipation of a second grant from Rockfall. We were going to do some research and background education on the caves at Ames, and really we did not get that grant. When the grant was not approved, we really didn't. Okay,
so I was just going to talk to the people next door. I talked to them at when they had the celebration at McCook Point last Columbus Day, Native Indigenous People Day or whatever. So I just thought if we had any information, I was going to offer to maybe come and meet with us sometime and see the caves and get any feedback for us for our history.
Good idea.
But their booth is right next to ours. So I just thought if you had any information, if you could pass it along.
As Greg said, when the grant was denied, we didn't do anything further. I reached out to a college professor who was going to help in providing some information and or student support, but he also never followed through.
Okay. Well, I'll let you know what I find out at the next door, and we can go. Okay. Anything else that you'd like to?
No, I will be putting together with Alexis, my daughter, who's on the environmental club, and Heather Freed, some kind of tentative program for the high school, so we don't have to keep scrambling every month. And it may or may not coincide with other, sometimes the land trust reaches out to Heather, or she may have some either ideas of a bat house, or I'm not sure what, but we'll sit down and talk with her about that.
Okay. Thank you. Inland West, Evan, do you have any?
I don't really have anything that pertains to open space. The activity level seems to have picked up somewhat, and
we're doing like 4 or 5 site walks every
month. But none of them have, except for we do have some information that the piece of property was the Audubon that is now being developed. They cut down. They went ahead and cut down 7,000 square feet of brush and trees, and because they thought the trees were going to fall on the house, that was the contractor, and he's since apologized, and they've got somebody out there going to plant some native shrubs and so forth. That was the only thing that had to do with adjacent to our. It doesn't really directly affect our piece of property there, but it is adjacent to
Ferry Landing.
To Ferry Landing, yeah.
Okay. Did you have something for conservation?
Actually, I want to add
Yeah, go ahead. If I could just make excuse me here.
Sure.
If you're leaving, do you want to see if Suzanne has anything before she leaves? And then we can go back to conservation.
I know, so anything for the land trust that you would like to? Okay, and you'll contact Elizabeth for the... Okay. Okay, perfect, thank you. Thank you for attending. Okay.
There's a gravel pit near the little chapel on Mile Creek. By 156.
Is there an open space property out there?
No, talking about an inland wetlands issue.
Yeah, I mean, but does it affect any open space?
No.
Okay, well, that's mainly what this...
Topic is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So...
we'll go on to you for conservation.
So, go ahead.
Okay, so you want me to talk about conservation then?
Yeah.
Okay, I think everybody knows we got alewives restored to the Blackhall Pond. This is a test thing. The Yale people come out and did a bunch of tests, and they're all excited. It's a very productive pond. And they're going to do a bunch of samples in the pond for us all summer to see what's happening with the phosphorus. Basically, when the fries eat the zooplankton, then that phosphorus goes into the fries, and they take it out to sea. So at the end of the summer, these fries will be 5 or so inches long. They're going to go out. We have to do adjustments to the water level in some of the dams. We have to. The fish biologist told me if we take 3 feet 3 inches, that gets them out of there, no problem.
Okay.
And he'll tell us what days to do it. He knows what's going on. I guess they all do it at the same time.
Yeah.
So he knows pretty much what.
Okay.
So you breach the
Well, I
beaver
don't
dam.
like to use the word breach, but yeah, we'd have to adjust the dam a little bit. Sometimes, if there's rain, no, they get right over it.
Okay.
Okay.
And just one other thing is, UConn heard about this, and they've asked me and I asked the Land Trust to put a fish counter at the spillway on Land Trust.
A fish counter.
Yeah, a fish counter. And the reason is the alewives disappeared. They went from a year ago, 400,000 counted to less than 100,000.
Yeah.
And they don't know what's going on.
The birds, the osprey.
Osprey. All the game
That's
fish eats them.
Yeah, everybody
So,
eats them. I think
without the alewives,
attrition.
That's an ecological disaster, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
When do the alewives leave and go back to the ocean? What?
Well, okay. The ones that spawned in March.
Yeah, those I'm talking about.
They spawn and go.
Oh, they're gone.
It wipes them out. They really get eaten when they get out there because they're just tired for some reason.
Yeah.
The young fry goes out in September, October, or something like that. Now, they come back in 3 to 5 years. So this is a 5-year project. And guess what? They come back to the same pond. And I think I told you this, but
We'll see.
They smell the water. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. You have attrition. You lost 3,000.
But to me, it's interesting, and it's a worthwhile.
Oh yeah, it's very.
And I appreciate you letting me put my poster there.
As long as you're there to explain it.
Everybody passes through open space. So
Good point. Good point. Everybody passes through open space. Under new business, I just have one comment. We had a list for 2022 Open Space Commission planning projects. Some of them have fallen by the wayside, but one of them was conservation easements, develop a filing system, all of that. The town has hired a new IT person. I happen to know. And so after he gets settled a little bit, I'm going to meet with him about trying to put together our stuff.
Digitizing all of our
and
files.
when making lists and everything. So if anybody is computer savvy and wants to help me out with that down the road, that'd be awesome.
Can I just add one thing I forgot to add? The Conservation is considering revising the bylaws, because originally that's like 30 years old. We did the inland wetlands, we did the open space, and now we know that it's being done by other groups fantastically, so.
Yeah.
We just want to make what we're supposed to do.
Thank you, Ann.
Great.
Well, keep us
I don't know if we're going to
posted.
do it or not, we're discussing it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we've finished new business. We've got public comment. Does anybody have any public comment? Thank you for attending. No executive session,
No.
and so a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That was a fun meeting, huh?
Gary was
Thank you.
I'm gonna open it quick.
I second it, one of the other.
I'm here till,
Down.
I gotta be back at 7:30.
Oh, okay, so, good. I'll just stick around and talk about this thing with you.
Wow.
Hey, sometime,
Just a second. Great.
does anyone else need a copy of the open space plan?
We decided to.
Oh, is this the new map? Oh, what map is it?
Wow, it's not the new map, it's the 1838 map.
Oh,
Okay, so here's Blackhall. Going, maybe this doesn't go up far enough. So here's they call it Blackhall Point. So here's the Blackhall
is
River.
that Griswold Point?
Which is now Griswold Point.
Yeah, but
So here's Horse Neck.
I think it's right here.
It's right here.
Yeah, and it was more of a, well, they're saying
Yeah.
But it's funny,
more of a wetland than a channel.
is that what this little hatch mark is?
I think this is. I think this is that
is
wetland that kind of, you know,
this
you can
is,
see from the road. Interesting,
no.
they show fences, interestingly enough. I don't know
They
if
show
they're
my
stone.
house site. So that, oh, wait a second, so here's
These
Button
are
Ball.
wetlands. Yeah, well, this must, Button Ball is an old road.
Old Shore Road.
Yeah.
That's Old Shore Road. That was the shore road that went across the bridge.
Mhm.
There was a bow bridge there.
This is your cemetery.
Yeah.
That's the cemetery, so just trying to fit, so this is the cemetery,
So I
this
think,
is
yeah,
the point, so this
The open
is,
space is right there.
well,
I mean, more
it
on this
starts,
side.
well,
It's
comes over
on
here.
this way.
Yeah.
What I was trying to decide is, but that's a boundary marker, that's not the gravel road, see, that's what I was trying.
Well, don't forget, this is 1838,
Yeah, so-
so I suspect, what did they do? Get on, you know, this is by triangulation, and maybe they had, you know, ladders that they got
This was
up
all
in places so you
treed.
could get a view.
Climb a tree.
Yeah.
So what does this mean right
They
here?
didn't know.
That's an open
They
field.
didn't, yeah.
Open field.
These are field marks.
Yeah, okay, salt
So
marks.
where my house
Hey.
was an open field, so this was all, yeah, because this was all, this is Button,
And then this was all later in the 20th century. The McGowans did all this gravel.
where this was
Where the wetland
here.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
Where does the train line go through?
Oh, yeah, because it's,
1840,
So
so
the
the train
train-
line's not there yet,
So they
1838.
plowed right through all the wetlands and rivers and everything.
Oh, yeah.
That
Oh, yeah.
far back.
there
Yeah,
was no.
right,
connection there.
1840, between 1840 and 1850, so
Yeah.
no train, no
Hatches.
No train. This is the first survey of the coast of the U.S.
Oh, yeah, who did it?
It was supervised, the superintendent of the U.S. Coast Service was Hassler, and then different people did, you know, this guy, Captain Swift, did the triangulation.
From Black Point to
And-
Cornfield Point, so here's Black Point over here, here's 4 Mile.
And this is the Connecticut, so we even get a little bit of the islands, and
Well, it says
goes up
here.
to the Line Ferry.
Marsh here.
Just as a historical point,
Black
like if
Point.
you're
Old,
interested.
I thought-
Old Black Point is right here.
Yeah, okay, because I was searching Old Black Point the other day.
We were looking at something else for Gateway, and Herb Chambers, caretaker, came out and was talking to us, and he said that Ferry Road relates to when there was a ferry that crossed from Old Saybrook to Old Line.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
Ben
yeah.
Franklin surveyed that, and he has a marker that supposedly it looks
Yeah,
like
it's on the road, I think, but here's the ferry landing,
right on the
Oh,
edge
so
of the
here's
lawn
Ferry
that
Road.
Ben Franklin put in there.
I think, right?
Right
Here's,
at the top of the hill,
Yeah.
across from,
we didn't, this is, it doesn't go up
Here's
that
the
far,
Connecticut, here's Black,
read it, oh, it's just.
Hall,
but I think this says ferry landing here.
so here it
I
is,
wonder-
Ferry Landing.
Yeah.
It doesn't give us
But
a lot of
see-
detail.
But is that our pond right there? And that's Shippey? Yeah, I mean.
I think this is an elevation. They didn't have,
Oh,
they didn't
okay,
define
that's what I was trying
contours
to-
yet.
Okay.
Contours weren't developed yet.
Hmm.
So they do this hatching mark
Oh,
for
is that
hill.
what that is?
Yeah, these are hills. That's how they
So if
represented
that was a
sort of
hill and
hills.
now is our pond.
That's
Yeah,
well,
that would
well,
be-
no, the
that-
pond would be in the
The
wetland.
pond's right here, the
You
wetland.
can see the wetland symbols. Then there's a little ridge here, and it's apparently the ferry. This looks
That's
like
where that house is, that ridge.
and
Yeah.
here's
Yeah.
Ferry Road
Yeah.
coming in. See, this is
Right
going to
above
the
that
down.
overlooks the,
yeah.
yeah.
This is downtown. Well, almost. And this is downtown Lime,
Well,
where
it
Ferry
says,
Road goes.
it says the spire right there.
Yeah.
So that's the Congo Church, I bet.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So this is now. I just was able to track it down digitally. This is T81.
Where did you find this, Mike?
Oh, looking for things. There's actually, so I found it in 1979 actually, but there was a,
But where did you get it printed? Did you order it that
oh
way?
yeah, I ordered it in 1979.
Yeah,
So,
there's
but
a-
then,
There are historic maps. This is the earliest one that was available back then, and you could actually order them. You could still get some paper copies. This was so old that they actually
Is this Long
photographed. What?
Is this Long Island?
Yeah.
Okay, so we are,
Yeah,
here's
we're
the Connecticut
yep,
River.
Yep. And so they're just numbers,
Right here.
and then it gives you the the age.
Yeah.
There's a shop on Mystic.
oh,
that
the
guy
kind of
sells old
map,
maps.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, this the old map would be it's in the archives of the USGS. This is the photobromide that you could purchase, and now it's digital. Now I haven't figured out how to. You get the whole file as a digital, so how you break it up is my next challenge.
Do you know
I'll
what,
let you know about the IT guy. I don't know.
do you know what tools they use to do this?
The old surveying tools, whatever they had in
A
1830.
theodolite.
Who?
Ask a
A
surveyor.
theodolite, which is,
Yeah. A chain.
There's chains and rods.
They have chains and rods, and they measure.
Chains and rods.
it's
Yeah,
a
but-
telescope with markers in it
Yeah.
that
Should ask Dick Gates, he'll tell you.
that actually.
And I suspect they got to elevations and
Oh, yeah, you work for Angus.
followed
yeah.
roads, but
Did you
yeah.
have time,
It's
maybe,
approximately correct. I mean, like they do have ponds, tidal ponds and things.
A couple properties.
Yeah.
I mean, a half an hour, we could just meet for coffee.
But I'm going to be assembling all the
Yeah,
digital
because I have
stuff anyhow.
those two files of Google, and I'll find out from them if it's on the market.
I was interested when I was getting this, was how many acres of tidal wetland have been
all the
filled.
stuff that's been going on this spring and through, is pretty much calming down now. I've just been
I hope so.
up to here with
But
stuff.
you know, it still irritates me that everybody's gone to look at that property that's on the planning tomorrow, and we haven't gotten any notification and open space on it. And they say not until the application is filed. Well, how come wetlands get this before? If they can't do
Because
anything
they're
before the
regulatory.
application is filed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're in the chain. We're supposed to get it with it. Used to be, we had, she'd have 5 people, wetlands, all these people, and we get it. I think we're getting, cut out. So I don't know.
Which is possible.
Do you want to still do the planning? You want me to hear from Rich, or how are we doing that tomorrow night?
I'll go to planning.
Well, let's see if we get the answer.
Yeah. Well, if we don't have the answer, I don't think that
I don't know what planning, so they meet the third Thursday? No, the second Thursday. Second Thursday, so they would meet mid-August would be our next option.
Well, could we have them do a special? I mean, we could ask.
You want to ask those guys?
I mean, I don't mind doing specials when we have stuff to do. I mean,
No,
I'll work
this is
10 hours if I have to.
This is for planning.
yeah, okay.
And there's, we have to have these answers because we're going to get hit with these things. Tim said it was pro forma, that they would just do it, rubber stamp it.
Yeah, I don't understand why
I don't
planning
think,
has any jurisdiction over it.
because anything that affects money, that's why Rich says you have to go through the same acquisition, as an acquisition, except you don't have to do Board of Finance.
Oh, okay.
And I also have to ask them anyway, what he wants from Nature Conservancy that says, yes, this is fine.
Yeah.
Just a letter, and is it a letter from anybody, or does it want to be the head honcho?
Yeah.
What is her name from?
Frogard,
Frogard.
Ryan.
Yeah. So I'll email him tomorrow morning. He's not an early riser.
Yeah.
Not that I know that personally, but he's
He's not a morning person.
No, he says to me, Amanda, I'm not an early riser. I
He
said,
probably works till 2 o'clock in the morning. You work till 2 o'clock.
no, well, I know I do, but I'm up at 6 or 5.
You're up at 6, yeah.
I am. I have exercise class. I've already done more in a day than he's done,
By this time of day, I don't like it now.
Me too. I'm going for the glass of wine.
I'm supposed to be here at 7:30.
They start, the next meeting's at 7:30.
Yeah, it's the DTC, I
What
think.
meeting is it?
The Democratic Town Committee, I think.
Hey, so,
I have my calendar, but I haven't really...
Yeah.
so they're supposed to be, so I have a question for them. Because I went to the Board of Selectmen, and I heard that Mike Miller wrote that letter.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
But anyway, so...
Of all the correspondence they get.
Oh, I know. I didn't object. But anyway, so
Speaking to
the
that,
artist...
I am having a meeting since my wife...
The artist says, hi, how are you doing?
She's checking on you, that's all.
Said that the Democratic Party is going to be one of the booths at the association. So I told her, I said, well, they're getting a lot of flack, but at least now they're not on town land. But so I said, I support them, but I said, she says, we take...
I don't understand why they don't march in the Memorial Day Parade. We do in
They
Greenwich.
did, didn't they?
No, they had a booth.
There's a
on the
tradition of not marching. Well, why not? I mean,
They
you should be able to march.
Martha told me she marched.
Oh, no, that's the selectmen. This is the Democratic
Oh.
Party.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So, anyway, thank you all for being
All
so
right.
patient.
Thank you, Amanda, for putting up with me.
How do you think that gets?
What, this one? It's not fine.
It was like,
No, you were in control. You were getting I was going to tap you.
I wish you would have kicked me.
I was going to tap you, but you didn't, you were getting persistent.
I was a little assertive, but not over.
I read that, and I thought that was the most poorly written contract I've ever seen.
I got all kinds of marks from you.
But it's not understandable. It's contradictory. But I just haven't been involved. I really wanted to walk the property. I just didn't get a chance to do it. Too new, And you don't know the history, but the contract is terrible. Just from a reading, understanding point of view, it's not very understanding friendly.
We should have lawyers answer questions.
Well, you're giving your recommendation, so.
I
I don't know that it'll pass at town meeting. If a lot of people don't show up and somebody asks questions, it could go down at town meeting.
What is it?
The horse contract.
Well, I find it very...
It's very easy. If there are few people show up, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's very easy to influence people at town meeting.
Yeah, because there's a lot of...
I mean, there might only be 20 or 30 people there, and you get convinced 15 of them.
Hopefully they won't put it to a town meeting.
Yeah, you gotta go to a town meeting.
But I'm saying, hopefully they won't put it there as a contract. Or
People are gonna read it.
It may not go, but we pass it. And then it goes to planning tomorrow night. We gotta get two answers. Is this the purchase of property?
No, this is they're having they have an agreement, a lease, with the guy that wants to do horse. He wants to be assured that Sam will be able to do horseback riding before he buys the property with the 25-year lease.
Conservation easement has horseback riding in it, so he can ride. He doesn't need a lease to ride. He wants a lease because he's trying to tie us up with some stuff. If you guys approved it?
I didn't, we were
Yeah,
voting.
he did. I thought.
He voted in two, actually, what's the other gentleman's name? Claudio voted against it. But I don't know that it's
Well,
gonna pass.
it might not pass then. I mean, you know, when they say the vote, they'll say, yes, we passed it, but I would always ask for the vote. And the vote is, you know, 4-3 or
It's 5-2.
4-5, but still, not like being able to legislate with your name.
But that's gotta be a public document, so the people, that should be distributed so people can read it for the town meeting and stuff.
But so the board of selectmen doesn't approve these, the town has to go to town meeting to approve.
Sounds like it, I don't know. Sounds like it.
I probably ought to arrange to see Tim for a couple of reasons and then bring that up.
Yeah.
I wonder if I should stay here, I'm an independent, I'm in here.
No.
Okay.
You gotta be a card-holding Democrat.
Well, okay.
I'm gonna put these on the car so I don't deal with them. Right, it's not so.
So how have you been? I haven't seen you in a long time. You guys disappeared on me.
Yeah, we're good.
Did you get a vacation somewhere?
We did, well, mid-June we went away. We've been around, but we went away, that's through 17, 17, or something, yeah, whatever Saturday.
You got a son down south somewhere?
Yeah, we went to Chincoteague.
Where's he?
Chincoteague Island, which is in Virginia, part of the Delmarva.
Okay, Del Mar,
Yeah.
So,
So,
my son coming up from South Carolina next week with his 3 kids.
yeah.
And he grew up in town here, so.
Yeah, right before I went away, Eric Thomas said you were contacting him about watersheds. He says, do you know this gentleman? He goes, I know you're new in town. He says, they're looking for someone to talk about watersheds, and I thought about you.
Are you a watershed person?
Oh, what I do,
Looking for you.
seriously? Yeah, did they give you my name? Oh, Eric didn't get back to you, he was probably okay. Eric Thomas was supposed to get back to you.
I'm so glad I just happened to hang around tonight.
Okay.
What are you looking for, someone to do?
I'll do anything you want to, but here's what we can do. We can have a Zoom meeting in the library. The library will do all the advertising for us, we just give them the words. They like to have a couple of months so they can have lots of time to get people interested, and then you can resume. So my thought on it was, even in my commission last night, we talked about watershed.
No. How are you guys? Oh. You're welcome to join. You're welcome.
There's watershed, there's one watershed, that's the whole watershed.
Yeah.
So you need watershed.
Where's the watershed?
About 45 minutes maybe, or whatever it is. It really is.
Yeah, 45 minutes, maybe Q&A.
I almost called you to go looking for nesting terrapins. Yeah, well, maybe we'll do it next year, because we're not going to be here for a week. Yeah, it's getting late.
How are you, Gary? Good.
Hiding on me.
You're
looking good.
How you been?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
If I sit here, do I have to pay the bill?
Yes, that's the rule.
I was worried about.
How are you?
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah. How are you?
Okay.
Were you at the zoning meeting when Edie presented
I mean,
this week?
no, I'm getting over some surgery, so I couldn't go this week.
I'm sorry?
How was it?
She was so, no one, they never read anything. And they started going off on, well, why are we doing this? And, like, they haven't been around for 6 years. It was just,
Hello there. Nope, there was a meeting ahead of us, so we're all in. Okay. That you do you, and I'm thinking of you.
Better every day. All right, bye.
Yeah, she was not, it was disappointing how poorly prepared they were. And then they wanted us, well, why are we doing this? And, well, we may not have the those aren't your jobs.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's not a zoning issue. They kept running into that, I guess.
Oh, I hate that.
But she did well, sounded like she did well. And Jane Marsh jumped up and kind of put it, and he said, is anyone opposed to cluster housing? No. Is anyone opposed to they weren't opposed to any of it, but, so that was good.
Jane comes through.
I can never hear this place.
Hello.
I am, Jay.
How are you?
Good. Boy, look at this, huh?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, those damn discounters.
Exactly. Does anyone here have a key to the sound system?
Yeah. One thing I got out of the thing Friday night is that.
The QR code?
Oh!
Click on there and it takes you right to donate.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
I love QR codes.
That's wonderful. Oh, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, that'd be great.
How are you, Kim? Good.
I'm sorry I forgot all about it.
Well,
and I had a whole bunch of people.
I'm just terrible about sending out
and I figured out a way to break away. And then when she didn't come for it, I said, well, if I was just there,
yeah.
it wouldn't have mattered. But I had a whole bunch. I'm sorry.
Oh no.
I couldn't
totally
get back.
fine.
It sounded. You probably looked like you did better without me anyway.
It was me
some
and
questions.
Anna and I met, and we were like, all right, what are we doing?
Whatever you did, you need to do well.
We were just like, all
probably
right,
better than if I was there. Yeah. I would have been a pain and asking stuff.
So, Kim, what do you think? I've got this time. Nobody else is logged on, it looks like.
Okay, do we have the phone work? It looks like it's live.
On, yeah.
Okay, so...
Nobody else.
No, but if you dial the number,
yeah,
then that gets that phone onto the Zoom.
Gets it loud.
And then you can just mute here.
Oh, okay.
And use that device to provide audio to whoever's.
Okay. Do you know? I didn't even finish it, buddy. All right.